Right now, the entire world is watching one company in the AI boom, NVIDIA. Its chips train the models, its stock is worth more than almost any company in history, and every headline is about it. But here's something those headlines miss. There is a second company that gets paid no matter which AI chip ends up winning. If the tech giants keep buying NVIDIA, it wins. If they ditch NVIDIA and build their own chips instead, it wins even bigger. And almost nobody outside the industry is talking about it. That company is Broadcom. So the real question isn't just whether NVIDIA is winning the AI war, it's whether Broadcom is quietly winning it too, from underneath. To see why, you have to understand that there are really only two ways for a tech giant to get the AI chips it needs. Option 1. Buy NVIDIA's GPUs off the shelf. They are the most powerful, the most flexible, and by far the most popular. The default choice for almost everyone. Option 2. Design your own custom chip, tuned exactly to your own software, and have someone do the brutal engineering to make it real. That second path is harder, slower, and only worth it if you're spending tens of billions of dollars a year. But the handful of companies that are spending that much, Google, Meta, Amazon, OpenAI, are increasingly walking down it. And here's the key. When they do, the company they go to in order to design that custom chip is, overwhelmingly, Broadcom. And on top of that, Broadcom makes the networking chips that wire all of these accelerators together, whether they're NVIDIA's or anyone else's. So Broadcom sits underneath both paths at once. To see how, look at its two engines. Engine 1 is custom AI chips, what Broadcom calls XPUs. The biggest names in computing are quietly designing their own AI accelerators, and Broadcom is the partner doing the hard engineering underneath. Google's famous TPU, co-designed with Broadcom, under a partnership that reportedly runs all the way through 2031. Meta's in-house accelerator, OpenAI's first custom chip arriving around 2027, Anthropic's enormous deal for custom capacity, Broadcom is the common thread. By 2026, it was building custom accelerators for 6 different hyperscale customers. Why do they bother? Because at their gigantic scale, a chip tuned to your exact workload can cost 30 to 50% less to run than a general-purpose GPU. But here's the part that turns it into a moat. Each of these chips is engineered to one specific customer's software over an 18 to 24-month cycle. Once you've co-designed your chip with Broadcom, you can't just swap it out next year. That's a switching cost a general-purpose GPU vendor simply can't create. Broadcom's AI revenue more than doubled in a single year on the back of it. Engine 2 is the one almost nobody thinks about: the networking. A modern AI cluster isn't one chip. It's tens of thousands of them that all have to talk to each other at staggering speed, every fraction of a second. The chips that move that data, the switches, are a market Broadcom utterly dominates, with something like 85 to 90% of the merchant share. Its Tomahawk and Jericho switches are the rails the entire AI data center runs on, and the newest Tomahawk pushes more than 100 terabits per second through a single chip. Here's the crucial point. It does not matter whose accelerator you choose. If you build your cluster out of NVIDIA GPUs, the data between them still flows over Broadcom silicon. If you build it out of your own custom chips, it still flows over Broadcom silicon. Broadcom's newest router can even stitch more than 1 million accelerators together across multiple buildings, turning a whole campus into one machine. So while everyone argues about whose chip wins, Broadcom is quietly selling the one thing every single design needs. Its order backlog for AI switches alone runs into the tens of billions of dollars. Put the two engines together and you get one of the cleverest strategies in all of technology. Broadcom's chief executive, Hock Tan, has built what people call an arms dealer business. Broadcom does not bet on which AI chip wins. It sells to all sides of the war at once. If the giants keep buying NVIDIA, Broadcom sells the networking that connects them. If the giants build their own chips instead, Broadcom designs those chips and then still sells the networking to wire them up. There is almost no outcome where Broadcom walks away empty-handed. That is why it has guided towards something like $100 billion a year in AI revenue by 2027, addressing a market it pegs at perhaps $60 to $90 billion, and sitting on a backlog of custom silicon orders worth more than $30 billion. And unlike a pure chip company, Broadcom also owns VMware, a software business throwing off billions of dollars in steady recurring revenue every single quarter, a cushion the chip-only players simply do not have. It is the classic picks and shovels play, sitting right at the heart of the gold rush, selling tools to every prospector, no matter who strikes it rich. Now the honest other side, because this story gets badly oversold. Broadcom is not beating NVIDIA, and anyone telling you NVIDIA is losing is simply wrong. NVIDIA is still roughly 3 times Broadcom's size by revenue, worth several times more. And it owns the one thing that matters most, the flexible, general-purpose market that every company, every lab, and every startup on Earth can buy into, all wrapped in a software ecosystem almost nobody wants to leave. Custom chips only make sense for the tiny handful of giants with one enormous workload to optimize. For everyone else, which is almost everyone, NVIDIA is still the answer. And Broadcom's custom business carries a real risk. It is concentrated in just a few enormous customers. So if even one of them slows down or pulls a program in-house, the hit is painful. Even that comforting VMware cushion came from steep price increases that left a lot of customers angry and looking for the exit. So please don't hear this as a winner and a loser. It's a story about 2 very different ways to win the very same boom. One loud and dominant out in front, one quiet and indispensable underneath. So here's the verdict. The headlines frame the AI chip war as NVIDIA versus everyone scrambling to dethrone it. But that framing misses the real shape of where the money goes. NVIDIA wins the loud, visible market, the GPUs everyone can see, name, and buy. Broadcom wins the quiet layer underneath it, the custom silicon for the few giants who go their own way, and the networking that every single one of them, NVIDIA very much included, depends on to function. One company gets the headlines. The other gets paid no matter who wins. And that is the exact pattern this channel keeps running into. In chip after chip, video after video. The loudest fight is always over the product everyone can name, but the steadiest money sits one layer down, in the unglamorous parts that every design quietly depends on. Broadcom might just be the clearest example of that pattern in the entire AI build-out. So the next time you read a headline screaming that NVIDIA is winning AI, ask the more useful question instead. Who gets paid regardless of whether it does? Follow the answer, and you start to see the whole industry differently. If you want the AI chip race explained the way the industry actually sees it, not the hype, but the choke points and the quiet winners that really decide it, then this channel is for you. We keep finding the same thing. The company everyone names rarely captures all the value, and the steadiest money hides one layer down. There's a whole map of these hidden winners, and almost nobody is drawing it. So subscribe and stay with it. Because in the AI build-out, the most important player is often the one you were never told to watch.